Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I am Adam with Adam Bro Fitness. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'd love for you to like and share if you can, subscribe. That helps us to get the message of faith and fitness out a little bit more. And you know what? If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, I would love for you to review, leave a like, whatever, share with your friends. Because ultimately the goal is we're just trying to encourage people to, especially believers, to focus on their health alongside their faith. All right, those two can go tandem, they go hand in hand. And if we're not careful, we end up focusing uh, not enough on our health and we end running into trouble later in life. I wanted to read a scripture um, here in Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7. This is where Solomon is speaking to his son. I mean, he had plenty of sons. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. The fear of the Lord, meaning like reverence for the Lord, is the beginning of knowledge. And I believe that taking care of your health is reverence for the gift that the Lord has given you. Um, Prayer, devotion, attending worship services, communal worship services, that is also reverence for the Lord's people and his purposes and his body, his plan for salvation for the world, right? So I believe that there is the beginning of all this is reverence for the Lord, okay? So, but then it's the beginning of wisdom and knowledge. So later in Proverbs, he tells his son, when you're doing all the getting, when you're trying to pursue these things in life, pursue understanding and knowledge. So I really wanted to take a quick moment to share some basic thoughts around where I, why I use a particular type of diet, exercise, and process for longevity. And we're going to do it real quick, but it just you're going to use some basic recent studies and even some reviews to just say some basic thoughts. Okay, when it comes to diet, I advocate a much more high protein diet and red meat. We include a lot of red meat in the diet. And the reason for that is because it's one of the most nutrient dense foods that humans eat nowadays, especially in the West. And I know it's been demonized. It's even saying that cows are killing the planet, which, I mean, let's just be honest, there were a lot more cows and buffalo, bison, 100 years ago than there are now. And for some reason, it's now them causing the problems and not all the vehicles, planes, factories, coal mines, hydroelectric plants. Uh, None of those things are causing the issue. It's only the cows and stuff. So, and apparently they kill us. But really, I believe that, and you can put your conspiracy hat on there, but I do believe there's a concerted effort to dumb down society. There's a concerted effort to take the health of people down. The more you can be hooked on medications, the more you can be uh, made to eat food that is not nourishing, the less health you're going to have, the easier to govern you are, in a sense. But again, as believers, our goal is to focus on having as best health as we can to serve the Lord to the best of our ability. So I'm gonna read uh, a recent review about red meat. Eating red meat is not unhealthy, a new analysis would suggest. So um, this study was called Grilling the Data Application of Specific Curve Analysis to Red Meat and All-Cause Mortality. All-cause mortality just means the chances of dying of anything, right? It is a factor, it is a way that they look at things, but many times red meat has been accused of causing diabetes, though it has, even though diabetes is a glucose and insulin issue, and red meat causes very little insulin spike and has almost no glucose to speak of. So that's obviously patently false. It's also been said that red meat is full of saturated fat, which is only about 40% saturated fat. The rest is monounsaturated and polyunsaturated, which they say are good for you. They also say it causes heart disease, which has been debunked probably 1,000 times over at this point, being that people with regular or low cholesterol levels make up the majority of people who have heart attacks. So it's not the cholesterol levels, and it's definitely not dietary cholesterol. Okay, so red meat has been demonized for a lot of reasons, and I think none of them are scientific. I think most of them are monetary reasons. So let's just read this real quick. Okay. A new Harvard-led study, which I'll be honest is difficult because Harvard is very much a plant-based kind of vegan uh, stronghold. So many of their studies will come out and you can tell whoever ran the study, you can tell they're vegans. So there's an agenda there. But in a new Harvard-led study that reanalyzed 15 publications with 24 data cohorts, that means groups, to determine whether there really is a relationship between unprocessed red meat consumption and all-cause mortality. Rather than relying on certain assumptions, as is usually done, the researchers analyzed the data using all defensive assumptions. So, key point there. Rather than relying on certain assumptions, usually those certain assumptions lead to opinions that you are researching to confirm. It's called confirmation bias. Okay, so eating red meat is a huge boon for your health, but it has been dogmatized in a way that it is bad, so that it's an issue. Okay, so the median hazard ratio turned out to be 0.94, suggesting that people that ate red meat had a 6% lower chance of dying than people that didn't. Okay? The vast majority of assumptions resulted in no significant association between red meat consumption and mortality, meaning there was no significant association between eating red meat and dying of anything. If anything, there was possibly an increase of not dying from anything by 6%. The researchers had no conflicts of interest or funding bias, according to this review. Importantly, the study looked at unprocessed red meat. Both mechanistic and observational research suggests that processed red meat, such as sausages, is generally unhealthier, especially if it's been treated with certain chemicals, nitrates, and nitrites, or exposed to very high heats. Let's keep reading. Overall, the highest quality research, which includes randomized controlled trials, finds that mostly neutral effects of eating red meat intake. This means red meat is neither, in these terms, is neither health promoting in the way many plants are, but is usually not harmful as mainstream media consumption proclaim. Okay, so I disagree that many plants have healing properties, but this is one of the reasons why I suggest a much higher protein intake and a much higher protein, a proportion of your protein be from red meat. Red meat has more minerals, nutrients than pretty much any other meat, besides maybe like caviar, salmon roe, and maybe oysters. Okay, so it's hugely beneficial. And according to this analysis, according to the science that has always been skewed against red meat, they're at least admitting that it's not negative. All right. So there's some evidence there. Remember, We're pursuing wisdom. So we're looking at what supports our approach. Okay, so my number one approach is high protein diet, lots of animal products. Okay. Now for longevity, the next is muscles. This is another review. Muscle strength adds years to your life. A certain review finds this. The review is called Bridging the Gap Between Strength Span and Lifespan. Okay, these are just recent studies and reviews that I'm using to say, hey, this is why I use the approach I use, because it is backed up by science, or at least not negatively influenced by science. Okay, so bridging the gap between strength span and lifespan. In a new, the British Journal of Sports Medicine had a call to action to promote strength training for health reasons. Strength training has health benefits that are independent of aerobic cardio. Okay, so it has health benefits that cardio doesn't give you. And muscle strength is a powerful predictor of all-cause mortality. How strong you are is a huge predictor of whether or not you're going to live. Okay? You can say strong people are harder to kill in any way you look at it. All right. Other than the direct effect strength has on physical function, like muscle mass, majorly improving insulin sensitivity, muscle is like a big sponge that can soak up excess blood sugar. So if we look at what's killing the majority of people, especially in the West, it's going to be heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and its related issues. Alzheimer's and dementia is killing people. All of these have been tied back to insulin regulation issues, insulin resistance. Having more muscle mass increases insulin sensitivity, which lessens the possibility that you're going to have any of these issues. Okay, because more muscle mass acts like a sponge to help regulate blood sugar. The less muscle mass you have, the less margin you have for controlling insulin. Okay? So insulin resistance is strongly associated with systemic inflammation, which in turn is associated with a large range of health problems. As a result, research has found strong relationships between muscle strength and bone mineral density. Fractures, falls, malnutrition, cognitive impairment, depression, sleep problems, diabetes, and overall quality of life. All right, so as a result, we find a strong relationship between how much strength you have and pretty much every ailment that is killing the West right now. Okay, so having more strength drastically lowers the chance of bone mineral density problems, fractures, falls, malnutrition, cognitive impairment, depression, sleep problems like sleep apnea, diabetes, and I would imagine Alzheimer's and dementia. They didn't put this in the writing, but because those are considered type 2, type 3 diabetes of the brain, which is a blood sugar regulation issue, or actually a too much insulin issue. So strength training is independently important compared to cardio. Cardio is great because it strengthens your heart, and in order to have a good cardiorespiratory system, you have to move a lot, and moving a lot is really good for human beings. Okay, but there's a reason why I put these together in my approach. Animal products, because they fuel that muscle. They keep the insulin lower because we keep our carbs a little lower. We strength train because it works in favor of working against all of these mortality risks that are crushing us as we get older. Okay? So, in short, the strong shall survive. Okay? I like to say, the stronger you are, the harder you are to kill. The researchers concluded that strength training will add life to your years, not just years to your life. Okay, so not only will strength training cause you to live a better life, but you will actually live a longer life as well. Okay, so you'll get more years and you'll get more important years. You'll get better years. All right, so this is why we focus on strength training. Yes, cardio is great. Yes, you need to be moving. Yes, you need to get out of breath, of course. But when it comes to longevity, I really believe that the thing that's killing most of us is we are overfed and we are under muscled. And we're overfed with junk, processed carbohydrates, seed oils, different variations of sugar, processed wheat, and seed oils. That makes up the majority of what most junk food is. Okay, so we're overfeeding on those things. We're under eating animal products because of fear, which is not valid fear. And then we are under muscled because we're honestly just not moving enough and we're not lifting enough weights. Okay, so this is the approach. Increase your animal products, increase your protein intake, lower your junk food, start strength training, okay, because it adds more years to your life and it adds more life to your years. And the third thing is how do you train? I'm going to show you this is why my approach is the way it is. Okay? My approach is that we use full body training almost every session. Now, any type of training will be great. Any type of resistance training will be great. But I have found that taxing the body as a whole seems to have something like a little bit more of a percentage up. Okay, so here's another study that said it was called full body resistance training promotes greater fat mass loss than a split body routine in well-trained males. And it says a randomized trial. Okay, so what it's saying is rather than training like chest and shoulders or chest and tries, back and bis on a different day, shoulders and legs on a different day, right? It's saying that this study found that training the whole body each day, so fewer exercises per muscle group, but hitting them more often throughout the week. So if you did a traditional split where people go in and they say, hey, I'm just going to do my legs today, you might only do your legs once a week because you have to hit all the other body parts too. Okay? Where if we train full body, we can hit our legs and each part of the body 2 to 3 times a week, which gives us more volume, more chances to grow, more taxing on the hormonal system, more recovery capacity. If you just get a little bit more. Okay? So this is why I'm a huge fan of full body training. I don't always give it to people. I give people what they want. But if you're going to start training with me, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do full body training, especially if you haven't trained before. So in this new study of well-trained men, which is rare, well-trained is usually they have, 1 to 3 years of lifting experience under their belt. They performed a strength training program as either a full body split, which is what you call it, doing your full body, or a body part split, which is breaking things apart and doing things on different days. They trained every muscle group either 5 times a week or once per week with the same total number of sets. That's called volume. So they did the same total amount of work per muscle group, but some were done in short bouts multiple times a week, and the others were done in large bouts once a week. Okay. After 8 weeks, the full body group, those that hit their whole body multiple times a week, lost a bit more fat, about 2 pounds. The gains in lean mass, the gains in muscle mass, and squat and bench strength didn't significantly differ between the groups. The full body group had the greatest gains on all measures in absolute terms, though despite being lower energy balance. So they actually had fewer calories, but they still outperformed growth in every area because of this multiple hitting things multiple times. It gives us more of an idea that the body needs activity every day, multiple times a day. Sitting around at your desk and going from your desk to your car, from your car to your couch is a death sentence. It is literally training your body to be good at doing nothing. But the body thrives on lots of small bouts of exercise. Okay, so I believe this is one reason why this full body training seems to do better. And it's one reason why I use it a lot. The better body composition, body recomposition, so those that lost fat, gained muscle, fat loss while gaining muscle in the full body group was likely a result of higher overall training volume. Okay, so the volume, the amount of times they hit those muscle groups was higher, obviously, in the full body group, which is probably the reason why things are better, which is what I'm saying. Multiple approaches, like multiple hits each week, are what we need. Okay. So when you split your exercises across the week, you're on average less fatigued and can do more reps or lift more weight during the same number of sets. This stimulates a higher energy expenditure and can stimulate more gains through, although the difference in gains in the study of overall literature was not statistically significant. The point is that, so for instance, if you were to say, hey, I'm going to do legs today, I'm only doing legs, then you might do 10, 15 sets of quads just for your quads. But by the time you get to the, once you get past 6 or 7 sets for your quads, you're just kind of mailing in those last sets, and then you're just doing damage that doesn't, on top of damage, it's not needed. But if you were to say, hey, I'm going to do 15 sets over 5 days, I'm just going to do 3 sets each time. Well, I can put more energy into each set. Okay, so this is the approach. So I can put in more energy per set and do fewer sets, but I do that multiple times a week. So on the average, I get way more output. Okay, so full body is most likely the way to go for most people, unless you're extremely advanced and extremely strong. Okay. Some research also suggests that full body routines are more appetite suppressing than split routines, although this effect again seems to come down to total work. Yeah, well, strength training has an appetite suppressing effect. Most people eat after training because they think they need to. If you really pay attention to how you feel, you usually don't need to eat. You're not hungry because you just worked hard. And if you worked hard on your whole body, that suppression is even higher, okay? So this can lead to you just eating less, which is going to help your body composition, okay? So the results are similar to an earlier study by Pena et al. In 2020. Those researchers found that greater fat loss was equal to strength, with equal strength and size gains with a set equated higher training frequency. Okay, so basically the same thing was found in this other study by Pena et al. In 2020, okay? The new study also found that a split routine resulted in significantly more soreness. So just focusing on your chest or just focusing on your legs for one day results in way more soreness, which will impede training later. Even if you're not, like, even if you said, hey, my chest is super sore, so I'm going to do my back today, that soreness takes a toll on the kidneys and your recovery ability, which is going to limit how much effort you can put into the next training session. So doing full body training sessions where you do fewer sets but more intense sets results in less total fatigue in particular body parts, which allows you to do more work the next time. So again, we're leveraging things. We're using our knowledge of the science to leverage percentages to get better, okay? Overall, I'm generally a proponent of high frequency training on full body routines. That's part of my approach. Virtually every line of research indicates that they offer, at worst, similar and sometimes better results in body composition. Okay, so this is the approach. Okay, I've used these 3 studies and reviews to set up my approach and my content. This is why we use it. Okay, remember, we're trying to look for wisdom and understanding. So we're using the science to help us so that we can honor the Lord better, right? We're eating more red meat and protein because it helps us with total muscle mass, satiety, helps us to eat less, gives us more nutrients and minerals. And very few people are ever allergic to meat, but a lot of people are allergic to gluten, dairy, eggs, and other things that are common nowadays, especially junk food. We use strength training because it promotes all forms of health, plus cardio training like walking and jogging and running, but strength training in particular because it promotes so much health. And then when we strength train, I promote a full body split, usually 3 to 5 days a week, depending on the person. Sometimes 2 is fine, but full body, according to almost every line of data that you can find, has equal, if not slightly better, outcomes for the average person. Now, someone who's extremely advanced might be very different. Okay, so this is the approach. This is why we use this. Okay, I want to encourage you that if you are still struggling with this approach, take these 3 things and just start. Add more protein, especially red meat, get rid of the junk, start strength training, work your body, your whole body, a couple of times a week. All right? Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully it encourages you to take better care of your body and use the science to make to do a little bit better approach, or maybe more informed approach. And check us out on Instagram. We'd love for you to catch us with a follow. I've got some YouTube shorts and stuff out there. On any of my Instagram posts, if you type in FAF into the comments, you will get a link to my free Faith and Fitness starter pack, which is awesome. If you'd like to work with me or train with me, please, you can email me at adam@adambro.com. We'll put that in the show notes. Thank you for joining us again. God bless, and we love you. See you soon.
Hey there, guys. I want to take a quick second to highlight a partner that we've been working with lately, Upgraded Formulas. You can see them at upgradedformulas.com. I have personally been taking their Upgraded T formula to support natural testosterone production. I've noticed it after a few months. I've noticed I've had a bit more mental clarity. My rest is a little better, and I'm recovering a bit better from my workouts, which was actually surprising. So I'm able to exercise just a bit more. I love to exercise, so that's a bonus for me. Women can also take this because healthy testosterone levels in women help with fat loss, mental clarity, muscle gain, things like that. And also, the estrogen and testosterone go together hand in hand. If you support one, the other does pretty well as well. So definitely check them out. Also, they do something really great I want to highlight, a hair mineral analysis, where you send them a little chunk of your hair, and they will let you know if you're deficient in anything or if you have too much of something like heavy metals in your system. So what this does is this is a great thing to help give you data on your health so that you can make decisions. None of this is a miracle cure. All of it is just information to help you make better decisions around your health and supplementation. All right, so really check them out. They're doing some really great quality. They're seeing some huge results, and I believe they're going to have some clinical studies coming out pretty soon. So check them out, upgradedformulas.com. Use the code ADAM10 to get a 10% discount today.